Hello, one and all, to Bette Jalle F2 Racing. Today we'll be in Belgium. And we're looking forward to a good race. Looks like we'll only have 16 on the grid today. A couple new names you might see in our grid as we get ready to do this one-shot quali. You might notice Tom Betts 14 is a new racer today with us, as is Crunchy Trees. Which the early chatter on Crunchy Trees is that maybe, just maybe, he's attempting to overthrow Big Baguette as the current unanimous leader in best PSN. So Crunchy Trees from out of nowhere looking to take away that crown of Big Baguette. Here in Belgium, bit of a downpour, to be honest with you. It's a little rainy. We'll look forward to seeing how that affects our racers here. As we see everyone's on the wets here in this heavy downpour. And Big Baguette jumps out to an early lead in this one-shot quali. We'll stick along with him for now and see if he can hold on. Let's see how this track is treating us. Couple of DRS zones here in Belgium. This here is our back straight. This will be probably where we see most of our passing today. Big Baguette, of course, setting the purple timer through Sector 1. So far on the wet track, we haven't had anybody crash out yet here in quali. So I guess that's promising to see that these drivers can indeed handle the ins and outs of a wet race. Got to be really careful coming around that U-turn there to not spin out in the wet weather, as you see Big Baguette taking it nice and slow and just playing it safe. Good shout from him. Big Baguette's got to be careful here. Takes it just a little bit wide, but really excellent touch from Big Baguette. Still leading the way in quali as we come up towards the end of Sector 2. This is, of course, one of our longest tracks in the F1 and F2 season, I should say, clocking in just a little over 7 kilometers. So definitely lots of opportunities. Lots of folks will look to take advantage and show their prowess on the wet tires here as we come into Sector 3. Big Baguette's looking like he's in total control in the cockpit here. Looks like he'll have no trouble taking pole position, as he's just got a couple more turns to navigate as we come into the home straight. And it looks like indeed Big Baguette will take pole, followed closely by Vapor Cobalt, Gino Giuseppe, Trulson in 4th, Vicensky in 5th, Josh Smithness in 6th, Nicholas Volkman 7th, Let's Get Physical comes in 8th, Multi-RABC in 9th. We'll get the rest of those slots to you here in just a moment. So nice little quality there from Big Baguette, kind of showing us the ins and outs of this very long track in Belgium. So picking up where we left off, it looks like F. Gourlay 1 will be starting in 10th. Tom Betts, one of our new racers, will start in 11th. Extra Zenica at 12th. Crunchy Trees is our first driver to have been disqualified. Then Word Cloud, Red Sniper, and KJ, all of which were also disqualified in qualifying. And we will pretty much take it right into the feature portion of our race. Looks like we'll have 16 drivers indeed. Last week, I'm sorry, our last track, I should say, in Great Britain, we saw Red Sniper take the win. Unfortunately, not able to offer a qualifying time here, so he'll have some work to do. The feature race, I believe the weather will start out with a bit of rain and let up a little bit as the race goes on. That's what the forecast calls for anyway. So we'll have to see how that informs our drivers' decisions. Will we see everyone still on those wet tires for this feature race? It certainly would not surprise me. So welcome everyone I hope that you all had an amazing week and are looking forward to see some good, solid F2 racing here. Should just be a lot of fun as we have a lot of names you may recognize and a couple that you may not. But either way, we look forward to seeing a really good race in very difficult conditions at an already pretty difficult track. So we'll have to keep an eye on this one as we get our formation lap underway. And this first turn right out of the gate is going to be very, very tight once we get underway with our race proper. Especially in wet conditions, you know, a little bit of a bump can send you straight into a wall. So certainly have to be on your toes, so to speak. And that turn right there, that's turn 3 that you just saw Big Baguette take, is going to be a really, really tricky turn. That's one that a lot of folks might overcompensate or send a little wide. As we see, all of our drivers are indeed on the wet tires, I should say. So certainly anticipating the heavy rain, which is here and should be here to stay for at least the first few laps of this race. We might see conditions dry up a little bit here in the next 5 to 10 minutes, but we'll have to keep an eye on that. We certainly have our radar guy on call, ready to go, letting us know of any possible negative weather cells that we have incoming. But it looks like the worst of the rain is here now, and it does seem to be getting better throughout the day. Jump on board once again with Big Baguette, who's leading the way around this formation lap. Certainly have to keep an eye on this inclement weather to see how it affects the race. 16 drivers. Chances are nobody wants to be the one to find a wall in the first lap or two of the feature. But hopefully our drivers will play it safe out there and we won't have any collisions or incidents to speak of at the end of the race. But if they happen, I'll be here to bring them to you, play by play, of course. As we wrap up our formation lap here, Big Baguette approaches the blocks. We will get ready and get set and send these drivers off here momentarily as the rain still continues to pour down. It's going to be really interesting to see who gets the clean break out of turn 1. It's definitely going to be a little slower maybe on the inside, more chance of collision on the outside of that turn. So we'll have to see who sits and waits in line and who takes a shot at maybe getting a couple of positions early on with an outside pass through turn 1. So we wait for the red lights to turn on. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And ladies and gentlemen, in Belgium, we are underway as the lights go off. Nice start from Big Baguette. Looks like he's going to try to hold that inside line. So far, so good. Looks like everyone is through turn 1 relatively unscathed. Let's jump up to the front here and see if anyone has trouble on these next couple of turns as we get to the top of the hill. Right here is where I expect we might see a bit of carnage. It looks like everyone manages to keep it on the track. We did see one driver go wide, but it looks like they've managed to get it back on the track. I believe that was Tom Betts, but I'm not 100% sure. Vapor Cobalt has taken the lead away from Big Baguette, it looks like, indeed. As we see up at the front here, as Big Baguette takes a look at maybe taking that position back from Vapor Cobalt, but thinks better of it. Oh, and we have KJ off the track, making his way back on, trying to do that safely. Definitely going to be issues with tire temperature, I think, for KJ. Have to keep an eye on that to be sure. Oh, it looks like maybe a bit of a spinner there, but he manages to save it, does extra Seneca. Very nice driving from him to pull off the drift. Very nice indeed. Meanwhile, Gino Giuseppe picks up a 3-second time penalty. Everyone's still, for the most part, pretty close together. Managing to kind of have a slow, methodical, plodding feel to this race. Let's take a look at Red Sniper Eye, our feature winner in Great Britain when last we met in F2. As we approach the end of our first lap of 13. So far, everyone still in this race. A bit of a gap between Let's Get Fiscal and the rest of this pack, beginning with Tom Bette, so really splitting off now into two different packs. Let's take a look up at this front pack of 7 drivers to see how they do here into turn 2. Now, maybe with a little bit better feel of what this track feels like with the rain coming down. To see Vapor Cobalt set our current lap's best time. And Big Baguette really thinking about maybe pulling off a move of one Big Baguette, as we see Tom Bette's a little loose on coming out of that turn 1. Manages to keep it on the track. And now Red Sniper Tom Bette's going back and forth, driving side by side. Could be very interesting there. Let's see if Red Sniper looks like he's going to be able to make the move for now, at least on Tom Bette's, and take back position number 9. Take a look back at the top of our leaderboard. We see Cobalt and Big Baguette still within half a second of each other. Hello there, Mr. Twig. Nice of you to join us here in the chat. Hope you're enjoying this feature race. We look forward to seeing you race in the sprint coming up here momentarily. So far, relatively nice driving, I would say, from everyone. Although we see Word Cloud lose a couple of positions there. Not sure what happened. And we see KJ once again off the track. That's the second time already in 2 laps that KJ has found the grass. It's very tricky Sector 2. Lots of hairpin turns, and KJ's having trouble with Sector 2, as we see Vapor Cobalt, our race leader, pick up a 3-second time penalty. Definitely not what you want to see. Zeneca as well picking up a penalty. Take a look at Let's Get Fiscal, only a half-second behind Vicensky. See if he can chase down Vicensky here in this wet weather. Leslie, I'm curious what your approach is on a wet race like this. How do you approach a track like Belgium, already challenging, difficult track, when the conditions are so poor? Is there anything different that you do to plan for the race itself? Indeed, let's see the Twig noting that there haven't been a whole lot of spins here through this first couple of laps, and with the wet conditions of this track, that's very impressive and definitely a testament to the skill of these drivers here in Belgium. Big Baguette running a little wide there coming into Sector 2, but manages to get it back on the track relatively quickly and painlessly. Does lose a little bit of time out coming out of that turn. Take another look down at Let's Get Fiscal. Really trying to chase down Vicensky best he can. We see Worry Cloud picking up a 3-second time penalty there, and KJ picking up one as well. And the penalties are coming in now, as it seems like people are running through their allotment of warnings. Yeah, indeed, you can't really send it maybe as much. A little bit of early braking, just playing it safe here in the wet weather. Definitely don't want to, I mean, there's so many turns here, specifically turn 3, that, you know, if you give it a little bit too much gas in this poor weather, it's really easy to find your way into a wall or maybe into a driver's back. So you definitely do have to be really careful here with this wet weather. But so far, kudos to all of our drivers for the most part keeping it on the track. We've seen a couple of spins, a couple of overcompensations as drivers attempt to, avoid spinning out. As we see, Let's Get Fiscal right on the back of his teammate Vicensky. Head in the cockpit with Let's Get Fiscal to see if he can get this move done, and the visibility is just poor. I mean, rain's really coming down, just waiting. Like I said, as Vicensky goes a little wide, Let's Get Fiscal able to get the pass done. The radar does call for this rain to be letting up in the next few laps, at least for a little while. But certainly, I think, the water at this point will set into the track and might not see conditions get dry enough to switch off of wets, maybe to inners, but I can't imagine. As you see, Big Baguette just moments ago setting the fastest lap time there in lap 3. AstraZeneca picks up a 5-second penalty there for speeding in the pit lane. That's definitely not what you want to do in a race like this, where 5 seconds, especially if our racers stay bunched up, can mean a position change of 2 or 3 spots. Well, with Let's Get Fiscal succeeding in that pass and looking like he's going to have no trouble holding on to that position for now, let's take a look back up at the top with Big Baguette and Vapor Cobalt battling it out. Vapor Cobalt, of course, already with a 3-second penalty, which not sure how that might change the rest of his race here, as he will need to find some way to perhaps pull away from Big Baguette. Just not sure he's going to be able to put enough distance between himself and Big Baguette to be able to make up for that 3-second penalty. Big Baguette, of course, an absolute pro at avoiding penalties. Again, these conditions don't exactly align 100% with that, but Big Baguette usually does a very, very good job at not accruing any penalties whatsoever while still being able to maintain impressive pace. And we see a bit of a close margin as Josh Smith is also pulling up on the back of Vicensky. Very nice cornering there from Josh Smithness as he continues to close that gap between himself and Vicensky. Let's take a moment here to just peek at Multi-R ABC, who's chasing down one of our new drivers, Tom Betts. Yeah, two new guys are looking pretty good, as Leslie the Twig points out. Tom Betts holding his own there in 10th. Crunchy Trees, of course, right ahead of him in 9th. Very, very secure middle of the pack sort of deal for these guys. They look pretty sharp, I gotta say, so far. Definitely good pickups, to be sure. Still very close here between Big Baguette and Vapor Cobalt. We'll just keep it in the cockpit here for just a moment on these two. See if we get any contact or any mistakes from Vapor Cobalt as Big Baguette continues to try to chase down the race leader. See Vicensky also picking up a 3-second time penalty. Lots of penalties early. So far, so good. No disqualifications yet, as all of our drivers remain, for now, in good health and on the track. See Vapor Cobalt run a little wide there. Might be flirting with another penalty if he does that 1 or 2 more times. Definitely not our worst start in F2 this year. I think that might have to go to Monaco, where we saw the first turn take out a whole swath of drivers in F2. So despite the weather conditions, all of our drivers are very, very sharp here in Belgium. Big Baguette is still doing his best to chase down the speedy Vapor Cobalt. Now inside of 0.2 of a second. Might take a look. A little bit of contact with grass there on that turn. Had to be very, very careful not to spin out. If he had tapped the brakes there, that could have spelled serious trouble for Big Baguette. But right back in it, maybe lost a few tenths of a second on Vapor Cobalt as you see Big Baguette set yet another fastest lap, that time with 2 minutes and 13 seconds, but immediately surpassed by Let's Get Fiscal with 2 minutes and 12 seconds, 9/10 of a second, which is currently our fastest lap time, as Let's Get Fiscal only about 9/10 of a second back of Gino. Might be getting ready for a pass there. We'll take a look there in just a moment. Big Baguette still hanging tough. Vapor Cobalt unable to pull away in any sizable way from Big Baguette. This duo has managed to put about 3.5 seconds between themselves and third place Trulson. As we see Big Baguette really right in the back of Vapor Cobalt's car. They have to be very careful here that we don't see contact, as even a little bump in these conditions could send Vapor Cobalt spinning. So excellent job for Vapor Cobalt to be able to ride that slipstream without contact of Vapor Cobalt's rear there. Let's Get Fiscal has now closed the gap to around 6/10 of a second between himself and Gino Giuseppe. We will continue to keep an eye on that. But for now, this is certainly the competition as Big Baguette and Vapor Cobalt just fighting really tooth and nail for this position. Will this be where we see Big Baguette look to take a move? No, but he is right on the back of Vapor Cobalt. Maybe we'll see a move in this home straight, but just really not sure. Vapor Cobalt's doing an excellent job defensively keeping Big Baguette on his rear. Big Baguette, of course, having to be very careful to get a clean pass done that hopefully does not involve any sort of penalties or contact on Vapor Cobalt. So he's got to play it safe, but still somehow looking to find a way past Vapor Cobalt here in our beginning of our 7th lap, as Red Sniper picks up a 3-second penalty. Definitely not what Red Sniper was looking for. This is currently an 8th. Again, our race winner in Great Britain in the F2 race. So, you know, Red Sniper is always bringing the pace. Maybe not so clean on these wet tires. Definitely something to keep an eye on. Let's take a look at Let's Get Fiscal and Gino now going side by side. This could be very dangerous, so he's got to be very careful here. As you see, these two racers are touching tires. Bit of contact as Fiscal touches the back of Gino Giuseppe's car there. Looks like for now Gino has held off the advances, perhaps unwanted, of Let's Get Fiscal. And that does create a little bit of separation, does that bump, as Let's Get Fiscal maybe comes off the gas just a little bit. We'll take another look up at Big Baguette, still about 0.3 of a second back on Vapor Cobalt. Yeah, indeed, let's see. Gino's done a really good job for now, at least, of shaking Let's Get Fiscal, now putting that gap up over a second. Couldn't quite tell if Let's Get Fiscal took any damage on that attempted pass. I don't think he did. It looks like he's, yeah, still solid wing-wise, as you can see there. No damage for Let's Get Fiscal, so I'm not sure what has cost him the pace. But going back up to Big Baguette and Vapor Cobalt, these guys are back just side by side as they both head into the pits. So it could be very interesting. We'll see who decides to stay out on the track, as Trulson will stay out on those 7-lap-old wets, as will Gino Giuseppe, as will Let's Get Fiscal. Josh Smithness will stay out as well. Let's see. Pachensky heads into the pits. Red Sniper looks like he's going to stay out. We'll have to see if he stays in front of, yes, just barely stays in front of Big Baguette on his way out of the pits now. We'll have to see where these fellows, previous race leaders, do come out. It looks like Vapor Cobalt out just ahead of Big Baguette, so nice pit stops for both of those gentlemen. Meanwhile, our top 7 drivers, all on 7-lap-old wets, we will probably see the rest of these drivers pit, I would imagine, on the next lap. Of course, you don't want to pit at the same time as your teammate. So our current race leader will be Trulson, at least for this lap. It looks like he will have no trouble holding on to that position for this lap. Meanwhile, going back to Gino Giuseppe and Let's Get Fiscal, still a bit of a battle here as we see Gino go just a little bit wide. Gino, of course, with a penalty in hand, so Let's Get Fiscal can be a little bit more cautious here, especially if he's planning on pitting at the end of this lap anyway. Definitely don't want to cause an incident or get a penalty for contact here. Probably be the last thing he would want to do. And Vapor Cobalt looking to chase down now Crunchy Trees, who Crunchy Trees is only about 0.3 of a second behind Red Sniper. So very, very close to see Red Sniper pick up a second penalty, another 3-second penalty. Gino Giuseppe pick up his second penalty, another 3-second penalty. So the penalties are certainly coming in maybe a little harder and faster than they did the first few laps here, as we see the rain maybe starting to let up. It seems like it's almost gone entirely here. Still a wet track, but could allow some of these drivers as they head into the pits on to enter, as we see Crunchy Trees past Red Sniper Eye, no problem there. We'll have to see what these drivers who are pitting now put tire-wise. Ooh, almost a bit of contact for Crunchy Trees. In fact, he does hit the wall coming into the pits. Not what you want to see from him. Got to keep it in the lane there, pal. And Trulson opts for medium tires. Interesting to see how those hold up on the wet track. Lesty, curious your opinion. Do you think that the track is dry enough for medium tires? It looks like it has dried out quite a bit, although we see Trulson out of the pits immediately spin. So maybe not. Could be really, really interesting to see if the track is dry enough for these tires. Maybe just stick here through the first couple of turns to see if Trulson has luck on these medium tires. Certainly driving like the track is dry. We'll have to see if he can keep them on. As we see, definitely a bit of spinning there from Trulson. Maybe opted for those medium tires maybe a lap too early. So certainly maybe not the best decision as Gino looks to get past Trulson. Takes a look at the inside. Trulson able to shake the contact as these two very, very close to each other. And Gino lucky to avoid the wall there, able to slingshot past Trulson. Gino, of course, opting for the wets on the tire change. We'll have to see how that pays off. Vapor Cobalt and Big Baguette have worked their way back up to 3rd and 4th with our top 2 drivers, Josh Smithness and Let's Get Fiscal, still not heading into the pits. And it looks like Trulson, now with those tires sufficiently warmed up and maybe an even more drying track, look to see what he can do to get past Gino Giuseppe, still on those wets. As you see, Let's Get Fiscal now pit alongside of Josh Smithness. Almost certainly we'll see them opt for the soft tire, as we see now Trulson's not having quite as many issues on this track, which seems to have pretty much dried out. As we see, Let's Get Fiscal and Josh Smithness both opt for the soft tires on the tire change. Vapor Cobalt takes back over the lead. Big Baguette heading into the pits, maybe opting to throw on some soft tires himself through these last few laps. It could be yet another interesting choice. I'm not entirely sure I agree with for Big Baguette to put on those soft tires might cost himself a few positions. As to Let's Get Fiscal having a very nice pit stop, putting on the soft tires and coming out into second place ahead of Trulson. So maybe just the few little spins that Trulson did are what cost him being able to stay in front of Let's Get Fiscal out of Fiscal's pit. He does use DRS though to quite easily overtake Let's Get Fiscal. Fiscal will stay right on his tail with those soft tires. 8-second difference between Trulson and Vapor Cobalt, who's opted to stay out on the wets and will probably take those the rest of the way. Will be interesting to see how they hold up with this relatively dry track now. And let's see, looks like almost everybody's off the wets. We still have, of course, our leader Vapor Cobalt on the wets, Nicholas Wolfman and Multi-RABC both staying on the wets as well. So pretty much everybody else has moved to softs, with the exception of Red Sniper and Trulson, both opting for medium tires, as we see Trulson pick up a 3-second penalty. So Let's Get Fiscal. Looks like he's in prime position to win this race with only 3 laps remaining, 2.5 really laps remaining. Still without a penalty. 6 seconds back, 6 seconds I should say, in front of Josh Smithness. So plenty of space there, and penalties for both Vapor Cobalt and Trulson. Trulson now able to catch up to Vapor Cobalt, still on those wet tires, so we'll probably have no trouble getting by Vapor Cobalt. Both Fiscal and Trulson move past Vapor Cobalt almost as if he's not even moving. So certainly has lost quite a bit of pace on those wet tires, I should say. And certainly maybe having a little bit of trouble, but at this point probably too late to pit. So Big Baguette opting to pit into the softs might just pay off. We'll have to wait and see. Meanwhile, Let's Get Fiscal still on Trulson. Yes, indeed. I think Fiscal taking the wets all the way through the first 9 laps to pit onto softs was certainly the correct decision, as Leslie the Twig pointed out in chat. Definitely, I think maybe a better decision than opting to pit a little earlier back onto wets. Certainly has paid off for both Let's Get Fiscal and Trulson. Trulson, of course, pitting kind of on that lap in between, having a pretty wet track and it being completely dry as it is now. Maybe pitted a lap too early onto those mediums. Otherwise, I think he and Let's Get Fiscal would just be neck and neck. As we see, Leslie the Twig has joined the session out of the chat and getting ready to show us what he's got in the sprint section. So we'll look forward to that, certainly. As you see Red Sniper pick up yet another penalty. A few of these drivers are just accruing large amounts of penalties, as now Josh Smithness has gotten by Vapor Cobalt, and Big Baguette looks like his gamble to take a pit instead of staying out on the wets will indeed pay off, as he'll look now to get by Vapor Cobalt. Shouldn't have any trouble, as Vapor Cobalt unable to get really any pace out of those wets tires, as he plays a little bit of defensive strategy there with Big Baguette. Big Baguette able to get a pass done. Bit of contact, Vapor Cobalt into the back of Big Baguette. Big Baguette able to keep it straight on the track, so well done from him. And Big Baguette's gamble to switch to the softs was the correct decision there. So excellent work, and kudos to him and his crew for making the call to head into the pits to slap on those soft tires, certainly paying off in a big way. And Vapor Cobalt picking up a penalty and falling down in the table. Certainly having absolute mare of these last few laps. And Let's Get Fiscal looks like he's pretty much going to lock it in here. Trulson has at least 3 seconds, if not 6. I think he might have picked up a second penalty. So Fiscal, as long as he can keep it, within 2 to 3 seconds, should have no trouble getting the win here in Belgium for this feature race. Meanwhile, KJ has done quite well working his way back up into that coveted 8th spot. Might be able to start the sprint race in first if he continues his good work here in Belgium. So kudos to KJ. Had a bit of trouble at the beginning of the race. Found himself spending most of the first few laps around 14th position. Managing to move up all the way to 8th. I will say, an interesting note to take stock of is we've yet to lose a driver. 0 disqualifications in this feature race. So quite impressive from these drivers to keep it on the track, keep it off the wall. Certainly is the goal, and accomplished phenomenally well from all of our drivers, from 1 all the way down to 16. We don't see a single disqualification, which is, I believe, the first race that I've commentated that has been the case. As Let's Get Fiscal continues this good work, Big Baguette meanwhile turns in a fastest lap. Still back 11 seconds with only a lap to go, so I don't think there's really anything doing for Big Baguette. Let's Get Fiscal can just kind of relax here. Just don't make any mistakes. No need to try to make a, urgent pass or anything of Trulson, as he'll earn the win regardless of if he comes across the finish line first or second. See, Big Baguette has also done well to get by Josh Smith, and this looks like he's going to take third in this race. Gotta say, nice work from Josh Smith in this race too. Kind of ran the same strategy as Let's Get Fiscal, staying out on those wets through 9 laps, pitting onto the softs. Certainly seems to be the strategy that has worked out really well for both Josh Smith and Let's Get Fiscal. So excellent work from them. Meanwhile, Vapor Cobalt has found himself all the way back in 7th now, with KJ maybe taking a peek at possibly moving up to 7th here instead of that coveted 8th spot. I'll have to keep an eye on that as we come down, put the finishing touches on this feature race. And KJ will indeed pass Vapor Cobalt. Vapor Cobalt, who's lost any semblance of pace by sticking with those wet tires and not pitting. It looks like he's gonna have to settle for 8th, and honestly just has to try his best to hold on to 8th. As now we see Crunchy Trees passing Vapor Cobalt, as Let's Get Fiscal will indeed take first in the feature. Trulson second. Big Baguette looks like he'll have no trouble to take third. Josh Smithness will take 4th. Well done for Josh Smithness. Now it gets a little interesting because we know Red Sniper has accrued quite a few penalties, so there's a good chance KJ might, well, I don't think he's accrued that much penalty that KJ will be able to slip up through that. We'll have to keep an eye, though. Indeed, great result for Team Fiscal. Team Fiscal and Twig, I think we can call it, right? As you can't have a team with just one driver, and it looks like KJ will take that coveted 8th spot as Crunchy Trees moves past KJ on penalties for 7th. Rest of the grid comes in. Gino's 9th. Cobalt finally crossing the finish line. Looks like some sort of puncture on that right front tire in 11th. But after penalties, Frank Gourlay passes him into 10th. Tom Betts, one of our new drivers here, crosses the finish line at 12th. Worried Cloud comes across in 13th. And then there were 3 extra. Zeneca looks like he's going to lock up 14th. Nicholas Volkman comes across in 15th. And Multi-R ABC will get across the finish line here in 16th place. Once again, no disqualifications. Drivers 1 through 16 managing to cross the finish line that they began at 13 laps ago. So nice work from all of our drivers. KJ will begin the sprint race in first place, pole position for the sprint. Crunchy Trees will start in second, as we see 1 through 8 will get flipped in the grid for the sprint race. So definitely entertaining here. Bit of weather as we see a bit of sprinkles coming back now. Definitely would have been nice for Vapor Cobalt to see that rain coming back down sooner rather than later on. Those wet tires. And we see Let's Get Fiscal raise the trophy over his head, showering champagne on his good friends Trulson and Big Baguette in second and third, respectively. So, like I said, we'll see KJ take pole in the sprint. Crunchy Trees will start in second, Red Sniper third, Vichensky fourth, Josh Smithness fifth, Big Baguette sixth, Trulson will start in seventh, and Let's Get Fiscal will start in eighth for our sprint section. Should be a fun sprint. Certainly if we see any sort of weather implications like we saw in this race. Again, big shout out to Big Baguette for the tire change that, as we saw from Vapor Cobalt, probably saved his race by opting to go ahead and switch on to the soft tires. Really good decision from him. KJ moves up 8 spots, probably our biggest shaker and mover. That being said, as soon as I said that, I saw Red Sniper moving up quite a few slots himself. So both of those guys, good results considering the poor performance on qualifying. Good luck, Lesty. Hope you do well in our sprint section. Wish you luck, buddy. See if you and Fiscal can accrue even more points as we get into our sprint section. Also, I just want to say real quick, big shout out to Tom Betts and Crunchy Trees for joining the group. Welcome into Bette Jalle Racing. Hope you guys are having fun. Certainly nice work from you both in that first feature race as we get into the sprint. Hope to see you continue the solid driving. And it looks like we'll see a bit of rain here to start this session. I think radar in our sprint calls for rain throughout. So certainly no trouble on switching to softs, mediums here. We'll probably stick on the wets throughout. We see all of our drivers starting on those wets tires. So we get settled in here in our formation lap. We see tire marks on the track as our drivers will do their best to continue with the good fortune they had in our first race, managing to avoid contact with the wall. Hopefully that continues on through the sprint section. So I noted KJ will be in pole position here for this race. Crunchy Trees, of course, in second. So certainly a good result for Crunchy Trees. Our other new driver, Tom Betts, will start back in 12th place. Meanwhile, Lesty, who is just around for the sprint section, will start at the back of the grid in 17th. Looks like it's going to be wet all the way through. The sprint section of our weekend looks like it's going to be 9 laps, only 4 laps shorter than our feature. Of course, this being a very long track, 9 laps certainly, can take a little bit longer than you might expect. This track clocking in just over 7 kilometers, one of the longest in F1, F2. As we see our drivers warming up those tires as we approach about the halfway mark of the formation lap. And the rain's really coming down now. And it looks like it's just going to be wet and wetter as the sprint goes. But of course, like I said, we will keep an eye on the radar here. Definitely one eye on the weather, the other on this race. As we approach our starting block, it will get this race underway.
Hope all of your helmets have the windshield wipers installed on them, as it's going to be tricky conditions throughout. It's a very wet day in Belgium indeed. Our drivers take their positions here in Belgium. Looks like our fellas are locked and loaded, ready to go. And we'll see the red lights come on here. That's 2, 3, 4, and 5. And the sprint section in Belgium is officially underway. Red Sniper had a bit of a jump start there, so that'll be a drive-through penalty. Definitely not what Red Sniper wanted to see. Trying to time that light release and doesn't quite get the result that he wanted. Let's see here if everyone makes it through turn 1. We did see AstraZeneca having a bit of trouble. Manages to keep it on the track though. Nice work from him. So come into third turn. So far so good. Going 2 to 3 wide here. Definitely thick there, but everyone manages to keep it on. We do see contact. Who is that? Oh man, that is a huge collision there. Lots of carnage. It looks like it was Gourlay, maybe? Yeah, indeed. Gourlay was the first to spin and then makes contact with a couple of other drivers, including multi-RABC. Wordcloud might have gotten involved. I think he came up later, though, so might have avoided any sort of damage. Definitely not what we wanted to see there. Hopefully Gourlay's okay. Slows down the rest of this grid just a little bit. Red Sniper, despite that jump start, currently in first place, does owe a drive-through penalty though, which I'm sure will come sooner rather than later. And the wet conditions certainly coming into play, as we saw Gourlay lose it just a little bit back there a few turns ago. So we come up through Sector 2 now, into Sector 3. We do have a yellow flag. Let's see if we can figure out who that was. It looks like multi-RABC has managed to spin himself off of the track. He gets back on and continues here. Let's get Fiscal, a bit of a problem there. Big Baguette moves past Tom Betts as he'll look to chase down a few there in front. Meanwhile, Gourlay looks like he's had more trouble, unable to really accomplish much. He'll try to, it looks like he's going to head into the pits. Will Gourlay go ahead and get that wing damage looked at? And now it looks like Crunchy Trees currently is our, let's see, might be our leader. I think we might be having issues in the grid there. Yeah, it looks like Red Sniper is still in the lead as our table gets itself sorted out. So both multi-RABC and Gourlay into the pits, try to get a little bit of wing damage fixed. Oh, and we see Red Sniper lose it, head into the wall there. It looks like managing to hit the wall pretty square with the tires, so avoiding damage. Luckily, maybe lost the right end plate there with that collision. Yes, indeed, it looks like that right end plate is missing. So Red Sniper will probably need to visit the pits to get that wing looked at, in addition to the drive-through penalty he has as well. So not exactly the start he wants, despite being out in first right now. And Leslie the Twig already making himself kind of known here. He's moved up from the back of the grid into 10th. Nice work from him. Meanwhile, it looks like another yellow flag. That might have been Worry Cloud again. I'll have to take a look. Let's see. Multi-RABC looks like he might be having a little bit of trouble too, keeping it on the track. Meanwhile, KJ and Trulson battling it out with Let's Get Fiscal right in there as well. Let's Get Fiscal looking to maybe take a move here as KJ took that turn just a little wide, allowing Let's Get Fiscal to get by. Maybe a bit of contact from Let's Get Fiscal as he gets the pass done, and KJ passed by Let's Get Fiscal and Vapor Cobalt. As we see another yellow flag. Looks like maybe AstraZeneca. Not entirely sure, to be honest with you. So currently, our race leader is Trulson with Crunchy Tree close behind. Let's Get Fiscal also very, very close to Crunchy Tree. Looks like he's going to try to get a pass done here on Crunchy. As you see, pass on the left-hand side. Red Sniper has decided to retire from the session after having quite a brutal start, has opted to just call it a day. And Fiscal does indeed get the move done on Crunchy Trees. And stop me if you've heard this one before, but Trulson's out in first with Let's Get Fiscal in second. As Vapor Cobalt also managing to get by Crunchy Trees. Looks like Crunchy Trees hasn't given up totally on that position, although it does look indeed like Vapor Cobalt's going to pull away. KJ also right on Crunchy Trees there. KJ looking to get a pass done as well. Multi-RABC looks like he might be back a little lap here. He still has not come out of the pits. We do see him just not coming out of the pits. Very close at the top here. Three-car train as Fiscal's right on the back of Trulson with Vapor Cobalt about a half second behind him. Zeneca picks up a 3-second time penalty. Let's Get Fiscal and Trulson battling it out. These foes, we saw them in the feature race doing the exact same. It was penalties that did Trulson in the feature as he came across the finish line first, but Let's Get Fiscal able to get by Trulson on the penalties. Meanwhile, in this race, it looks like Let's Get Fiscal and Trulson still battling it out. Maybe a bit of a bump there that Fiscal might have delivered to Trulson. But for now, it looks like these two drivers are okay. Vapor Cobalt joining this train is definitely a 3-man train up front now. With Vapor Cobalt 0.2 of a second behind the speedy Let's Get Fiscal. Return is about 0.3 of a second behind Trulson. Certainly will be interesting to see what these drivers do here, as we're already about halfway through the sprint section of this race. And it looks like Vapor Cobalt might try to take a little bit of a look at the inside here around Let's Get Fiscal. Unable to really get the exit that he wanted there, and Fiscal still maybe just a nose out in front of Cobalt here. Cobalt taking the inside of this turn, and it looks like it's going to pay off in a big way. He's going to get by Let's Get Fiscal and take second place, and now Let's Get Fiscal on the outside looking in. Back in third place now. Let's see if Josh Smith can get by Crunchy Trees here. Josh Smith who had himself a very nice feature coming in fourth place. See if he can get this move done on Crunchy Trees. Crunchy Trees is not quite showing off the pace on the wets as some of his comrades here. Was in second place just a few short moments ago. Now currently in fifth, trying to hold off Josh Smith in this. Let's Get Fiscal still on the back of Vapor Cobalt. Vapor Cobalt doing his best to chase down Trulson out first. If it wasn't for the weather change, I think we might have seen a very different result in our feature race, but Vapor Cobalt unfortunate to fall back in that one as he opted to stay on the wets despite the drying track. Now Vapor Cobalt looks like he has indeed gotten the move done on Trulson out of that home straight. Excellent work for him. They're coming now up to the back straight. Should be very interesting to see if Trulson can stay on the back of Vapor Cobalt here through the home straight, as DRS will be enabled for both Trulson and Let's Get Fiscal. Looks like Fiscal will not make a move on Trulson there. Trulson thought about trying to get past a flying Vapor Cobalt. Unable to do so, unfortunately, there. Get Fiscal, of course, starting the sprint in 8th place, up to 3rd now, after winning the feature race. So certainly looking for back-to-back good results between the feature and sprint. As of course is Trulson, 2nd place in the feature, currently in 2nd here in the sprint. Vapor Cobalt, of course, most in need of that big finish after almost falling out of the points entirely in the feature, making short work of the competition as he raced up to 1st place pretty quickly, honestly, in the first half of this sprint race, really making his presence known. Big Baguette now also back in things. He looks to get by Crunchy Trees. Josh Smith is having passed Crunchy Trees moments ago. Now Big Baguette will take a stab at it as well. Not sure what happened there to KJ. We saw him pull off to the right side. Not sure if he just... Oh, I'm sorry, that wasn't... Was that KJ? Looks like maybe a track reset for KJ. Not entirely sure what happened there, to be honest with you. Oh, that must have been Josh Smithness, who looks like he was spinning to the inside and then overcompensated to the outside, lost himself quite a few positions there. Meanwhile, it looks like Vapor Cobalt is having some success pulling away from Trulson and Let's Get Fiscal. Cloud having a little bit of trouble here. Managing to get it back off the track without too much difficulty. Bit of a battle here between Josh Smith, who we saw run off the track moments ago, and Nicholas Volkman. Josh Smith is able to move on Nicholas Volkman, at least for now, as he'll look to try to get himself back in the points. Looks like Vapor Cobalt's having no trouble just running away with this one, at least for now. No need to pit here in the sprint section, so he can keep it on the track for the total 9 laps. We saw the Wets go 9 laps in the last race of Trulson's and Let's Get Fiscal, both lasting through 9 laps. KJ picking up another penalty. Definitely not what you want to see here. Only 9 laps, not a lot of time to make up for any penalties. As Let's Get Fiscal has closed the gap on Trulson, now only back about half a second. Rain really coming down, maybe even more so than it was at the beginning of the race. Definitely potential to obscure vision here in Belgium. Let's take a look at Big Baguette and see if he can get a move done on KJ. Up the hill here into turn 3. Out of turn 3, I should say. Baguette able to get the move done on KJ. For now, KJ has no choice but to concede 4th place to Big Baguette. And now Big Baguette will set his sights on Trulson just having been passed by. Let's get Fiscal. Fiscal doing his best to not lose it here and see if he can stay ahead of Trulson. Trulson and Fiscal have certainly gone back and forth both through the feature and sprint race. These two have been a nuisance to the other. Let's see who gets the better of the other here, as Trulson able to get the inside pass done on Let's Get Fiscal. Now Let's Get Fiscal finds himself once again staring at the back of Trulson's vehicle there. Cobalt having no trouble running away with this one. Now almost 3 seconds in front of Trulson and Let's Get Fiscal. Let's see Twig back in 9th, trying to get the better of Chensky. Still back just a little bit. Meanwhile, Chensky and Gino Giuseppe going side by side. Let's keep it here just for a moment to see if Chensky can get this move done on Gino. Having to concede just a little bit of time as Josh Smithness and Leslie the Twig side by side. Nicholas Volkman retires from the race. Not entirely sure what happened there. Looks like he might have retired in the pits. And Let's Get Fiscal and Trulson side by side once again. Let's see if Fiscal can hang on to this position this time. These two have been back and forth all day. As Let's Get Fiscal looks promising. Looks like he may just keep that position for now. About 3 seconds back of Vapor Cobalt. Vapor Cobalt can avoid a penalty. Looks like he's got the win locked up here in the sprint section. Let's Get Fiscal pulling away to the tune of about half a second on Trulson. Might be all the difference he needs to keep that second position here in the race. Meanwhile, still a bit of a battle between Lesty and Vichensky. Let's see if Lesty can get the move done on Vichensky. The Twig has done well, started at 17th, up to 10th now. They might be able to make up 1 or 2 more positions through the last couple of laps. Let's go take another look at the Trulson Fiscal battle, which rages on. As Trulson loses it just a little bit coming out of that final turn of the lap into our last lap now. Leslie the Twig able to get a double pass. Looks like maybe we got a bit of a 3 wide situation as Leslie the Twig is shunted off the side, and Crunchyrolls also finds himself off the track, passed by Lesty Vichensky. Bad luck for Crunchy, who's run a really good race through this point. Trulson and Fiscal still battling it out here as Trulson looks to take the outside of Let's Get Fiscal, closes off the inside, doesn't allow Fiscal for any room to hold on to that position. Excellent work from him. And it looks like Trulson may be able to hold on to that position. Definitely not if Fiscal has anything to say about it, but that remains to be seen. Big Baguette is doing his best to join in with this train. Just not sure there's enough time left for Big Baguette to really have any impact on the top 3. Let's see if Fiscal can take a shot at taking that second position away from Trulson halfway through this last lap. So Big Baguette picks up a 3-second time penalty. So it looks like it's very much what remains to be seen is, so Let's Get Fiscal picks up a time penalty. So Trulson looks like he's going to lock up that second place. Let's Get Fiscal's got to be frustrated with himself, but should be able to hang on to third place, at the very least have back-to-back podiums between the feature and sprint. Trulson, meanwhile, looks like he's going to go back-to-back in second for both our sprint section and our feature race. Guys, we'll switch and watch Vapor Cobalt across the line. Looks like he's going to get the big points here in the sprint side of things as he approaches that finish line in first place. Trulson will take second. Let's Get Fiscal will take third. KJ comes across in fourth, at least for now. Let's see with penalties. Yes, indeed. KJ will take fourth. Big Baguette fifth. Gino Giuseppe, and still very, very close here. We'll have to see with penalties what happens as Gino slips all the way down to 8th. Instead, it's Josh Smithness at 6th, Chensky 7th, Crunchy Trees. Nice racing from him today in 9th in the sprint. Leslie the Twig 10th. Tom Bette looks like he will come across the line in 11th. Thanks for joining us today, Tom Betts. Excellent races for you as well. Extra Zeneca and Worry Cloud battling it out to see who will be our 12th place finisher. Have to see if penalties have any sway on that. It looks like Zeneca will cross the finish line first, but because of penalties, Worry Cloud moves up to 12th, which leaves Frank Gourlay to come across the finish line in 14th place, our final racer to cross the finish line. I think I've got to give my driver of the day today to my boy Let's Get Fiscal, coming in with the clutch first place finish in that first feature race, and of course holding on for a podium and third place in the sprint section. Game goes a different direction with Vapor Cobalt. I don't think I could give Vapor Cobalt the driver of the day just because of the misplay, deciding to stay out on wets through the feature section. So my driver of the day goes to Let's Get Fiscal. Definitely a lot of fun, up and down here in Belgium. Had to deal with inclement weather, but our drivers made the most of it. So big kudos, up and down, to all of our drivers here in Belgium. This is Ben Silver, your man on the mic, saying that I hope that you join us next week, well, Sunday I should say, for F1 racing, next week for F2. Until then, see ya.